All 7 Everdark Sovereigns have been released, meaning it's officially time to rank them from worst to best. And in 2 weeks, I'll post the results of the communal difficulty ranking, so stay tuned for all the future Nightreign goodness. I'm Billy S, and these are the 7 Everdark Sovereigns ranked. Let me know your thoughts down below. In 7th place, we have Everdark Maris, who finally takes up her inevitable mantle of being the gimmick fight. Just when you thought it was safe to go outside, bam, it's back, the Storm Ruler. You start the fight battling Augur. This is the form of Maris that you would normally fight in Limveld during one of the random world events. And this means no jellyfish, no ghost hands, just the charge attack and the water waves to deal with. This phase goes down incredibly quickly, acting as the starter to Maris's main course. Once it loses all its health, a legendary item is dropped, and you can pick up a weapon which contains the Storm Ruler weapon art. Maris will then appear in its biggest form yet, towering over the battlefield like an eldritch sea creature, while you, the player, must cut her down with your new weapon art. There are 2 variations to the Storm Ruler attack, a non-charged energy slash that goes a short distance and does a pittance of damage, or the charged variant which does a lot of damage but requires pinpoint accuracy, as missing one of these shots can be painful. Maris, meanwhile, will be firing out explosive bubbles to try and sleep you. It'll fire massive beams that'll explode along the arena which you have to dodge, and it'll do its usual charge moves to try and knock you down. Midway through, Maris will begin summoning purple orbs which act as turrets that fire massive lasers at you as the boss passes through, but you can break those orbs with the Storm Ruler, and destroying all of them stuns the boss for a short time, allowing you to deal some extra damage. All of these mechanics repeat until the boss goes down, with the purple orbs being the toughest part of the fight for me. They move alongside Maris, making it very hard to line up a shot to actually destroy them, but fight through all of this and the spectacle will come to an end. My main reasoning for Maris bottoming on this list is simple. The spectacle that the Storm Ruler art brings wipes away what makes Nightreign fun in the first place, which is your ability to craft whatever build you need for a given Night Lord during your time in Limveld. It feels like most weapons and abilities become a bit useless here due to the gimmick nature of the fight. I also just prefer base game Maris. I think damaging the jellyfish and the tentacle hands to hurt the boss is more interesting than a spectacle over substance Everdark fight. At number 6, we have Everdark Adel, who had the hard job of selling the concept of Everdark Sovereigns to the player. That first week when we experienced Adel's brand new mechanics was a literal whirlwind of a time, as it felt like nobody had any concept of what to do to master the fight until the last few days. The battle begins by skipping phase 1 and immediately dropping you into Adel's phase 2, and this becomes a real test of skill, as you can't just rely on the poison proc to save your ass, as Adel doesn't get stunned by it once he's enraged. Instead, you have to ensure your knowledge on how to avoid his various AoEs and charges is up to date. Anyone who stumbled through the base Adel fight is going to be in for a rude awakening here, but I think I actually had a good thing going. I was playing as the Guardian during my first Everdark Adel attempts, which allowed me to shield stance through a majority of his charge attacks, as I felt having a way to revive and support my teammates would be quite critical here. Adel's big change hits midway though. He has a brand new attack where he zips around the arena before releasing a large AoE, and then soon after he flies up into the air and summons a vast whirlwind. To dodge the whirlwind, you have to run to the edge of the arena and look for any spirit springs that appear during the cast, which you can then use to leap over the tornado and back into the safe playable area. Then it's Adel's regular moveset as normal, but with the boss penning you in with a smaller arena space, and sometimes recasting the tornado to keep you on your toes. Compared to some of the changes with the Everdarks, Adel's fight is a simple extension of his already existing moveset, and doesn't go quite as far with it, which I would say is the right call for a boss already as hectic as Adel, and I think I prefer his Everdark variant to his base game fight for those reasons, But I still think of the Sovereigns, he's one of the least memorable because both of his fights blend together too much in my mind. If Maris overhauled their fight to an extreme, Adel didn't differentiate his fight enough, whereas other Everdark Sovereigns were able to find a slightly better balance. At number 5, we have Everdark Libra, who was always going to be fighting an uphill battle with me, as I honestly think his base game fight is one of the best in the franchise. So I was curious to see how they would handle Everdark Libra. Would his attacks increase by an extra tier of difficulty? Would he constantly have his golden defense buff up? Then I actually fought him and discovered that no, none of that was the case. Instead, Everdark Libra was going to focus on the mechanic of his deals, and how he is constantly searching for a way to maintain a perfect balance. Libra will constantly refresh the battle with various effects as the fight goes on, with those effects sometimes being detrimental or helpful to the Nightfarers. Stuff like having your allies become invisible, random madness accumulation, making it so for a short period you won't lose flasks, but each chug takes a level from your character instead. But then he could also give your weapon a madness buff, which is great for stunning the boss. The most valuable effect of his though is friendly fire, as Libra has an entirely separate mechanic where he can summon condemned invaders to fight your Nightfarers, and they are a pain in the ass, unless he has the friendly fire buff on, in which case they can all damage each other and the boss, and it becomes a full-out brawl. That being said, whose idea was it to give one of the wilder variations a Redmane Great Bow? With a weapon skill that can target you from an extremely far distance, it made my life a living hell, as you can see in the footage. Libra can also cut the arena into 4 quarters, with you building up madness if you attempt to pass through the walls, which can be both a boon or a hindrance, assuming you need to get to a teammate quickly, but you're trapped with a bunch of condemned. It's so easy for Libra's summons to build up and just rock your world. To put it bluntly, my winning run against Everdark Libra was through no skill of my own. My teammates hard carried me because I was getting pounded into the ground by his mechanics, and it left me feeling a little hollow. I really like the direction they took with Libra here, even if I vastly prefer his base game fight, but they went about this new concept in a very obnoxious way, and it all comes down to the sheer amount of condemned and how annoying they are to fight in comparison to Libra himself. If you get a bad roll, you're not going to enjoy Libra no matter how hard you try, and it's that divisiveness that lands him in the lower part of today's ranking. He's still a smash though. At number 4, we have Everdark Caligo, who lands smack bang in the middle of the list because, honestly, I don't have any strong feelings about this fight, neither in a positive direction nor a negative direction. The crux of Caligo's buff is that she now coats herself in a series of icy scales, which act like a natural armor to stop you from doing as much damage. If you've got some fire weapons, you can use them to thaw through her ice, but it will take a good amount of time, with the rest of the fight being dedicated to her more aggressive moveset. In fact, she even starts the fight with her Ice Meteor Barrage as a way of letting you know she means business. After you knock out around 25 to 30% of her health, she'll buff herself with the icy scales, letting out a large whirlwind that will do heavy damage to anyone close to her, and thus the Everdark begins. Her most infamous attack is one where she jumps away and summons a vast ice crystal. You only have a few seconds to stagger her out of this attack, as if she breaks the crystal, it causes a massive whirlwind, followed by an ice storm that will almost always proc Frostbite due to it being an arena-wide AoE. I can't say I'm a fan of this mechanic, as you just don't have enough time to get Caligo unless you've got an Iron Eye ult, and the punishment is effectively a forced usage of your healing flask due to the arena-wide damage. That sucks. I don't like that. The rest of the fight sees Caligo using her enhanced Frost Breath in various attacks, tail swipes and the like to bring you to heal. I like these attacks because the breath is a different color to her base fight ice attacks, giving us a nice sense of differentiation. And those attacks allow you to get up close and personal for the most part to deal damage. I even love how as you shatter her icy scales, it reveals dark miasmic skin beneath, letting you understand exactly why she's called the Miasma of Night. Then she introduces, in the last third of the battle, her upgraded ice meteors, which have now become massive icicle shards that are far bigger and deadlier than before. Overcome all of this, and it's just about staying alive to take home the victory. And this resulted in one of my favourite successful runs in Nightreign, as our team barely clung on throughout the battle, each of us going down once or twice, but working together to get back up. I didn't think we'd actually win, as I completely whiffed a Wilder ult near the end, and I thought, oh my god, I've just lost this fight for us. Our Eye then went down, I tried to revive him, we nearly got him back up before Caligo's meteors came out, and in the last moment, I went down right as the Eye got up. So our Raider rushed off to distract the dragon, which allowed the Eye to res me from afar. Then our Raider goes down, but because he's a Chad, it was only his first fall, so we were able to quickly get him back up and use our remaining energy to bring Caligo down. The sheer elation at beating the miasma knows no bounds, and thanks to that special moment, Caligo makes it to number 4 on this list. At number 3, we have Everdark Noster, which is something I didn't expect to be saying when I started scripting this video. But after thinking about the various Everdark Sovereigns and the new mechanics they brought to the table, I found that Noster's new abilities actually changed the fight in a significant way, while keeping the core of their gank intact. You do have to deal with a brief Phase 2 redux, complete with the magic tank attack where they Gatling gun you with projectiles, but Noster has far less health, as they want you to melt this form down so you can experience the new stuff. And what we discover is that neither Noster nor Fartis Stone Shield are the true Night Lord. Instead, it's a creature called Animus Ascendant Light, a spectral morph with the properties of a phoenix whose light continues to bring the other two bosses back from their graves. The trick is that Animus will also possess either Noster or Fartis, enhancing their movesets with fiery abilities. Once possessed, any damage you do to that boss will also be done to Animus, with the goal being to either kill the possessed boss, or wait until the possessed boss does their ultimate attack, with both scenarios leading to Animus being forced out of the boss's body. This gives you a brief window to attack Animus before he repossesses one of the two bosses, the battle continuing in this pattern until you eventually win. I really like how, depending on which boss he fuses with, their movesets change to accommodate. More fire is utilized, and their ultimate attacks become more deadly than they were in the base game. Honestly, I just had a lot of fun with this battle, as it takes the Phase 1 of Noster's base game and enhances it to a level that I found mechanically interesting. Depending on your team composition, you may want to focus exclusively on either Noster or Fartis, and you can roughly force Animus to possess the boss you want with careful strategy. It's all of this that makes Everdark Noster a really welcome surprise, and lands it with a bronze medal. At number 2, we have Everdark Fulghor. In my original Nightreign ranking, I listed Fulghor as one of my least favourite Night Lords, as I felt his fight was rather unmemorable, to be honest. Didn't go far enough with his mechanics. The goopy hand was fine, but it's not something we hadn't seen before, and you all raked me over the coals. Everdark Fulghor then decided to come to my door personally, punch me in the face, and yell, "Is this enough mechanics for you now, Billy?" And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. Like many of the Everdarks, Fulghor immediately starts the battle in his original Enraged state, with access to his goopy abyssal arm and all of his regular attacks. This sets an intense tone, as you're dodging and ducking and weaving in an attempt to get him down enough health to start the true Everdark battle. Eventually he begins rising into the air, holy light bathing him as the darkness of his arm completely heals, allowing him to fight in his prime with all his might. He can now summon holy arrows like a Sagittarius centaur, and send them as a flurry through the air to follow players, similar to Aldrich in Dark Souls 3. All of his attacks can now produce harsh waves of wind you need to dodge through, and at any point he can bathe himself in a golden glow, turning his weapon into a holy twin blade, which is just majestic to see in action. The attack itself is very reminiscent of the weapon art on Loretta's sickle, and it complements his moveset perfectly. And to cap it off, he has an ultimate attack where he rides up into the air, summons holy light into his weapon, and snipes the energy directly at one of the players. It causes a massive AoE explosion and can wipe a party if you're all together. Staying spread out helped a lot during my first Fulghor run, as he couldn't hit all of us with his attacks, but on my second run, Fulghor checked us and wrecked us, so he's not easy by any means. Honestly, this should have been his base game fight. It's the right amount of challenge and leaves me with a much better impression of the boss overall. It fixed all of the problems I had with regular Fulghor, and it was almost my favourite Everdark Sovereign if it wasn't for the last minute inclusion of... At number 1, we have Everdark Gladius, who received the biggest glow-up of all the Night Lords. After all, Gladius suffers from first boss syndrome, where he's designed to be fairly easy to fight once you understand his mechanics. You literally have to beat him to unlock the rest of the game, which meant that for his Everdark variant, they had all the opportunities to give him the difficulty they wanted, and they took it. Gladius begins the first phase split in 3, with one of the 3 dogs holding the sword, while the other 2 fly commando. It's the usual mechanics, where if you're in a team of 3, you each handle a dog and try to get hits in where possible. It's only after he comes together for the first time that Gladius reveals his brand new form and powers up. And it was here where I realized if I wanted to beat Gladius, I was gonna have to do it solo. Why? Because Gladius has hidden mechanics with his moveset, where if you attack on certain points, Gladius gets an attack buff that can wipe your party out in seconds upon his next combo chain. And after I discovered this, I realized that not a lot of the player base actually knew this. So I took it upon myself to fight Everdark Gladius solo so I could control when or if he got access to his attack buff, which ironically made his new moveset the easier part of the fight. He's got access to a ton of new chainsword swings and slams, but he can also summon multiple waves of fire, he's got cool spinny moves, and 2 major ultimate attacks that I absolutely loved. The first sees him shooting the ground with hot flames, which empower his sword, allowing him to dash forwards and backwards at fast speeds. This will catch you off guard, but then he follows it up by running the sword through the ground twice to create ground AoEs just like in the Hailster fight, before ending it with a massive fire slam that explodes. It's such a cool move to look at and feels great once you learn how to dodge it. His other ultimate move happens when he splits back into 3. The 3 dogs will each blast at you with a fiery dash you have to outrun, with the last dog's dash leaving a massive afterburn effect that caught me a few times. From there, it's a case of handling the mechanics you all know and love until Gladius goes down. The fact that I was able to beat this boss solo is a major achievement for me, I won't lie, but I knew I had to get it done. And it ended up being my most satisfying victory in Nightreign, as it showed just how far I'd come as a player, and it all came down to the wire. No revives, no healing, but we managed it. Everdark Gladius is my favourite Sovereign, and I'm real happy for the pupper. And that's my list. Which Everdark Sovereign is your favourite? Let me know down below, and be sure to parry that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my future videos. In 2 weeks will be the community difficulty ranking for the Everdark Sovereigns, so keep an eye out for that. Massive shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting me for another month. It's $4.99, you get shoutouts in the description at the end of the video, and you get access to my Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1 run. It's pretty cool. And I want to give a shout out to my social medias, Twitch, Discord, Blue Sky. Great places to go to keep up with the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Adios.